we don't forget.
Oh, I want to use some Siberian fir real quick. This is what this oil. Oh, I still gotta. Okay, I want to make you a roller ball. That's on my list. I have you and a soul brother that I also want to make an oil for, but for some reason it just hasn't been the right timing.
Yep, that's all good.
But this
That's the way
oil
I
right
look at
here,
it.
this Siberian fir, it's
Mm-hmm.
for concentration and for starting new things.
Nice.
So, oh, I thought somebody else popped on.
Oh, right on. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, my husband, he's so cute. This morning or last night, he goes, "Oh yeah, essential oils." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Essential oils. Those are really good too." And I'm like, "Yeah." It's cool, you know. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah."
Oh, somebody is on with us, Mary Elizabeth Webb.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Hi. I don't have video, but I'm just listening if that's okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh
fine.
yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll end up hiding my video anyways, probably at some time, because the dogs will start going crazy, or I'll need to get up or something. And so funny.
Okay, so with the nodes, this is our geometry, right? Whenever you want to, you can start if you want, or whenever you're ready, if you want to
So I
talk.
figured wait maybe a couple more minutes, see if anybody pops on. But yeah, we can just go ahead and start talking about stuff though. But yeah, the nodes are the geometry, they're the life. And you know, it just really blew me away when I had that nudge and I responded to it to go and read my North Node on the personality side from one of the books that shows the incarnation process, because there's several. And I've read it in both, and it's pretty cool because I have the Book of Destinies, but I also have the, of course, Ra's version of the incarnation crosses. And what I've noticed, though, when going back and forth, I read both of them together so that I could see how close it is. They are actually really close, you know, so it's like really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm so fascinated by that, and the whole thing about the Book of Destinies. Something about him, he really has a way of putting it in an easy to digest and understand perspective that's unique enough that, you know, it's just one of those go-tos. And now thinking about it with the North Node, it's like the book has an extra use now, you know?
Yes,
It's
I
really
agree.
cool.
And, you know, Chitan was one of the first students as well of Roz, along with Titania and Vino, and there were several others. And then, of course, the teacher that you and I had also tapped into, Karen, you know, she also studied with Ra after working for him first,
Right.
and then learning from him, and then also gave readings for him, you know, because he had his office at the time in Arizona, I do believe it was. I know before that was New Mexico. But yeah, it's just really neat to be able to tap into some of these, some of the people who were there in the beginning, and
Yeah.
to see how it's unfolded for them.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like, okay, so they got the raw transmission. And look at what they're doing with their lives. They have been activated and they're using the information, but in a unique way that really put them on the map, not for human design, but it's weird because they have their own way, you know?
Yes.
And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in getting the transmission and letting that transmission express through me in my own unique way. And I think we all can do that.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely. And that
on
is
that
what we're
level,
wanted.
you know?
Yep. Yeah, because everybody in the world received the initial download anyways in 1987 in January. Just Ra had an encounter. And so, yeah, I mean, we all experience these things in different ways. I went through 3 nights in a row where I received downloads continuously of human design, you know, and so it's really cool to be able to tap into the different authors that have branched off from the original, you know, working with Ra. And it is unique. He said that the experience is really going to be unique to us all. The mechanics are the mechanics, but it's the experience and how we experience those. That's why he didn't care for interpretation as much as he liked using the keywords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
The keywords are just like a special code. They awaken something in us, and we find our meaning with those keywords, and then it's like that's what activates us in some way.
Yeah, like with Richard Rudge too, you know, and then with Steve Rhodes, and just the way each one, Karen, you know, redoing a lot of the keywords. I think it's so neat because when you look at language, there are so many different words that, in English language, I mean, we definitely have a lot more limitation in, from what my understanding is, and you know, between our language and other languages. So yeah, it's really awesome. So we got a new person. I'm working on getting sound. Okay, awesome.
Hello, new people. Welcome. We're just talking about whatever until we had some people sign on.
Yeah, and because we want to hear your guys' experience of how, you know, in looking at your nodes through the lens of the incarnation, but as you see in your experience in others more so than personal. And because the environment in that PDF, the 32 nodal environments, it can be confusing. I have to admit, you know, it can be a little confusing. And so in looking at it too from the incarnation cross really, really helped me to see, oh yeah, I can see that even more by doing it that way.
For me, it was like, okay, my incarnation cross is like how I'm being seen, how I'm being experienced, how my life presence is being experienced. And then the North Node cross through the incarnation cross lens is like how I'm actually experiencing it, right? Like, okay, so for mine is the 11 and 12. My whole mission, it was like, oh, duh, that's what I'm doing. My whole mission is, how can I make this my Eden? You know, mine's the incarnation cross of Eden. It's like, how can I make this better? Or not even like something that I actually have to do, but like my motives all go along with where am I going to be? Where's my place going to be the best? Where am I going to have the most comfort and joy? How are we going to be able to thrive? Like all of that stuff. And it kind of helped me to like not beat myself up about when bonds break, you know, because being a third line, everything's about bonds made and broken. Before human design, I thought I was in the victim of everybody just leaves me. Why should I even, the pessimism, why should I even bother? Because they're going to be gone in a couple months anyway, right? Instead of just like really treasuring the time that I get to spend with every person that I bump into. And then lovingly letting them go, and so the next person can come along. And yeah, so with the Eden theme, that all kind of helped things to settle a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Anybody else want to share any of their ahas or experience in looking at the two different ways of their North Node or the personality nodes?
Anybody?
And that's okay if nobody wants to. It's not a big deal at all. I mean, we have had, you know, some discussion in the group, so, you know, that's really good.
And something that's weird for me whenever I first started Zoom class is like, I'm a generator, so I have this thing in my head where I'm like, oh, well, if I don't have a natural response, then maybe I shouldn't say anything. Or if I do have a natural response, I don't want to interrupt. So if anybody wants to just put their hand up in the Zoom chat thing, or say they have something they want to say, or just, I mean, me and Denise, we kind of just interrupt each other and we're cool with that. So if anybody just wants to chime in and talk, that is totally fine. Okay.
Yes.
We're just winging it. We want everybody to be comfortable.
And we're here to support you guys. So if there's something else that you feel that you need to talk about at this time, you know, feel free. This is kind of an open floor because of everything that's going on, and it can get extreme. You know, everybody knows now that the nodes have moved into the 1510. I'm pretty familiar with this nodal placement, and it can be really fun and interesting and awesome in the fact that it is bringing in, you know, it can bring in extreme behaviors in all different ways, you know, whether it's trends or innovative ideas or anything cool like that. And then, of course, with anything, there's the opposite. You know, it could bring in some extreme behaviors, kind of like what's going on now with the people feeling very insecure right now. And so there's a lot of hoarding going on, unfortunately, but we live in a dual world. We're going to see both sides of this happening. And if we can just be calm within ourselves and know that everything is okay and we are taken care of, just relax in the body. Yeah, we can be the eye of the storm.
Denise, that is so, okay, so I was really on that. I was thinking about that yesterday, right? Okay, so I'm on this new trip of being, you know, allowing creative direction to come out of me for others and being of service. And then I had a deep experience with fear yesterday, like no other. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, I've been telling people, like my sister and stuff, just stay happy, stay joyful, stay in your center. And then I got rocked with this fear. And I'm like, how can I tell them to just stay in their happy vibe? I mean, because this stuff can be extreme. And like you were just saying, 10 and 15, extreme behaviors. Okay. It was just an eye opener, like another level of this. But then I got through it. And I was able to get back on my center. It literally felt like I was like wobbly. Like,
oh yeah, and with your undefined spleen and those hanging gates, you know, I mean, yeah, you're going to feel it a little bit more, and especially in your body and your immune system, because you're feeling what's going on at a more physical level, instinctive level, which is fear. Whereas like me with the undefined solar plexus, I'm feeling pain, like physical pain. I mean, it has subsided, thankfully, which is really nice. But I mean, and the emotional stuff that's going through, but because I have finally gotten over my fear of that, I'm able to just really drop into my body and feel that and just love it. And that's why I love Ho'oponopono.
Yes.
I love you, you know, and it's just like, thank you for coming up at this time, you know, because we're looking at, in our body, we're looking at generations of suppressed emotions. And I mean, if you look at the whole of everything, the feminine, you know, or matriarchal side or yin side, whatever you want to call it, has really been suppressed a lot from being able to be seen. And a lot of our boys and our men, you know, that feminine side in them have been repressed and stuff. And a lot of stuff is coming up. And I don't think it's only, I mean, I know it's not only mine, it's not only yours, it's not only, you know, the neighbors, it's everything, because we are really all connected.
Yes.
Through this web of, you know, life.
Yeah. And it was just like a good lesson of what everybody is going through on some level.
Yes.
And you still have to fight through it, because I mean, okay, I will what kind of got me in that mood real quick. I have a reflector friend, and she shares the craziest stuff with me sometimes, you know, but I think that's just an example of life being, she's reflecting like certain aspects of life, yes. Right?
The conditioning of life, yes.
Yeah, and so the video that she sent me, it was kind of highlighting the fear and negativity program. It was somebody, you know, sharing their thoughts about it in a negative way. They had no uplifting at all. And as they were sharing it, my stomach was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I started feeling like this heat in my belly, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta go, you know. But something was like, it's okay to see, but don't believe that that's not what's going on everywhere.
Right.
It's just like what the news does. They manipulate on our emotions. They want us to feel that trigger. I don't know what the motive is, but that's what I've noticed is like news. It's not the purpose is not to uplift people or to give them hope. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opposite. Yeah. And so why would the internet be any different? You know? And so it was just like, I went through it. I'm glad I did, because I know that there are other people. I mean, I had to unfollow a lot of groups I'm in, a lot of other people who are just focusing in on that stuff and only that stuff. And so their vibes probably, I mean, I know we all function differently. Right. But, you know, as generators, we're keeping the thing going here, you know, and we need to generate in the opposite, in the better direction. Okay, that's kind of what I meant by my share.
I like it. I love it.
Does anybody else have any examples?
That's what I was going to say. Or if you'd rather type in the chat, Brandy's able to look there. I see. I can tell because she's looking over there. I love it. I'm just not as set up, and I'm okay with that. I wasn't for a while, but now I am.
Hi, everybody. This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
I just wanted to, I don't know, give my 2 cents, I guess. I agree very much that the fear is coming up right now. And there's a lot of people still totally stuck in it. But I think the reason why it's popping up for us and people like us is because we have to transmute it. They can't do it, so we have to do it. We're shedding it out of our DNA right now, and we carry enough light to be able to do that for those people and for the collective. So that's why it pops in and out of our reality, so that we can do that.
That's so reassuring too. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're transmuting it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, through our open centers, or, you know, like for me, I have a projector body. I've been transmuting these types of energy since before even coming into human design, and come into human design, learn about the projector. And I'm like, yep, that's it right there. I love it. So, and the willingness for us to be here at this time to do that.
Yes.
Is amazing.
You know, something like I was like, okay, so for me, it was like, I'm sure this example was so that I can talk about it for multiple reasons, because I was sharing it with my sister, I was sharing on my personal wall, and now I'm talking about it now. It was like I went through it, and the process that I went through kind of surprised me, because, you know, I've been working on connecting with my inner child and all that stuff. And so just what really was like my mantra was basically like, my energy is best when I'm not like this, and the goodness that I can bring is when I can overcome this feeling and rise above this feeling, and that it's okay to feel like this, you know. And that's why staying away from being mad or avoiding the emotions, especially for any emotional people here, we try to stop feeling it, it's just going to be, that could probably be the trap. So just whatever you got to do to transmute it for yourself. Yeah. I'm just, whatever.
I got that.
I agree, Brandy, that we can't just ignore it or try to stay away from it. If it comes in our field, it's in our field for a reason. Mm-hmm. So we have to experience it, unfortunately, but.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I mean, the way I look at it, and this is coming from a basis of Ho'oponopono, but, you know, when we can, okay, so you know how in general, you know, we're like freaking out over all this energy, and or we want to change other people, we want to change situations, and then it's overwhelming and we feel bad because you can't control another person, or, you know, something big, huge like this. But when we can look at it in the sense like, I can heal this in myself. And as I heal this in myself, it reverberates out and heals others. You know, it breaks cords, it does whatever, you know, however it looks, doesn't matter. If it's helping is the point. And so for me, before I wouldn't have wanted to take all that responsibility or anything like that. But now it's like, you know what? I like this better, because if I'm healing it within me, if it's arising and there's a part of me that has this, and it's not me now, it doesn't mean that I ever even had a part of this in my lifetime or anything like that, but genetically we're connected to multiple other people. You know, our design side is inherited, our inheritance, our genetic inheritance. And so that's the way I do it. And I just, you know, I want to love it. I want to accept it, or, you know, tell it I'm sorry and to please forgive me, because that covers everything in all ways. And then being able to transmute it, let it go, let it return back to source, to have that energy renewed in the way that it needs to be in return to its rightful owner. You know, I mean, the more that we get, that's my little spiel of how I do it, but it's comfortable for me. And I've seen a lot of differences in my life from it. Does that mean my life changed overnight, or that everything is always hunky-dory? No, we live here on earth, you know, I'm experiencing life and it's wonderful, but I have peace within me. And that's what's really, really important. If I have peace within myself and not let all the outside stuff take me, you know, at whim. And you know, we are coming into the mutation of the solar plexus, which, I mean, I call it a transformation, because we're going from not having emotional awareness to having that, it's called emotional spirit consciousness awareness. And, you know, I never heard anybody talk about it in with the word spirit in there before in human design. And so when I came across that with both Ra and Zeno, I was like, you know, I really love that, because, you know, when we think about the 55, I have that in my moon. So it's a very close gate to me. I know this gate very well, and I've lived both sides of it. And it is true that when we are okay within ourselves, when we know that everything is okay within our soul, man, nothing outside of us can knock us off our feet. We're still going to feel stuff, and it still can sometimes, like, okay, I remember, you know, if we're able to settle back down within our own inner calmness a lot quicker.
That's really cool. I'm glad you brought that up. I must have missed this spirit consciousness awareness thing. I wrote it down. I haven't heard that, and if I have, it was like vaguely, like it didn't register.
Well, it's in my benevolence group. I did post it in there. Remember, the Zeno quote, and then I've come across later with the rock quotes on that too, which was cool.
Yeah, I gotta check that out, because that resonates. The spirit consciousness awareness. Okay, so we are
emotional spirit conscious awareness. Yeah.
We are okay. That's so cool. How many things have you? I mean, I've personally seen so much about emotional intelligence and emotional awareness lately.
Yes.
It's like,
it's
it is like a theme going on.
It is. And I think the reason the spirit was brought into that, honestly, is because of the fact that it's in gate 55 that it's happening in, and that is the gate of the spirit. It's the abundant spirit. But a lot of people, you know, we just look at it as the gate of abundance, and we think, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. That's not what it's about. It's this abundant spirit within us. Do you feel like your cup is full or empty within?
You know, that's okay. So my sister-in-law has 55 as her son. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's her 55 is her son. Her incarnation crosses spirit, left angle.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, I just read that too. And yeah, I'm not going to go there right now, but yes, it is her son then that is there, and she's a 5th or 6th line.
So she is such a beautiful person. My brother married her. They're divorced, but so she's family now, you know, because she's my ex-sister-in-law, but I can knock the ex off. Anyway, things that she has taught me, just, you know, with rightness or something, the empathic abilities that we all have, we soak up different things from people. And something that I soaked up from her was when she worked with me, every morning she would come upstairs and my cat would be at the top of the steps, like waiting for her. It was really weird. But like, she would come upstairs and she would say a little thing to Marby. That's her. My cat's name is Marbles, and she calls her Marby. Right? Okay, so that's one way she's like infusing spirit into my household. But in another way, she's like teaching me. She basically taught me how to love my cat. Is what I'm getting to. I had my cat for like 8 years. She's an old baby cat, and I never really had that affectionate side with her, you know, when Sarah taught me that. And now my cat, she has this bird, this big stuffed bird, and she'll like attack it, find it, and like she's got it in her mouth, and it's like huge compared to her head, and she'll like run around the house until she sees me, and then, you know, I do the same thing Sarah did, and I'll be like, oh, you got your birdie, oh, I love you so much, you got your birdie. And it's like, Sarah taught me how to have that little connection with my cat. You know, that's just such a simple way, but it brought so much joy into my household, you know, and it kind of taught me like I could be a little softer. You know, I don't have the 27, which is the gate of caring, so I'm very inconsistent in the things that I care about. And so I was really grateful for that little lesson. You know, I know it's silly and probably, but whatever. Yeah, the 55. It's abundant in different ways. What brings abundance to your spirit? What makes the inner you thrive? What brings you joy? What makes others joyful from you? You know, those kind of things. Yeah.
I have the
Absolutely.
3955, and so that's supposed to be about abundance, the whole channel. But I don't feel abundant in a material way. So I guess for me, it's about spirit.
Yeah, it's definitely not a material abundance.
Oh,
yeah, but with the 39, couldn't that be like provoking in order to create the abundance in some way?
So the question has to do with the whole channel. Okay, so I'm going to let y'all know that when you're looking at a whole channel, it is actually different than just looking at the separate gates, because that is the channel of emoting. And Rod did talk about this, and so do some others. But it doesn't mean that I don't also like to look at the separate and put them together. So Brandy happens to have the 39, and I happen to have the 55. And so electromagnetically, we connect that. And then I am familiar with the channel in that I have it in my family. But emoting, you know, it's funny. I'm glad that you brought this up, because the emoting part, I was thinking about this just yesterday, and, you know, thinking about that channel again, and how would I look at it? So a lot of the things are in more the lower, not really necessarily in a self way. So what's the opposite of emoting, right? I mean, honestly, what is the opposite of emoting? That moodiness would be having a more stable mood. So like, you know, instead of going from, oh, my cup's full, yay, you know, this is an awesome ride, to really, you know, my cup's empty, and then you're going through your melancholy, okay, because that channel is melancholy as well, very melancholy. And that can turn to depression or be mistaken for depression too, but there's creativity in that. And so, you know, in looking at the emoting, so the emotions are swaying back and forth, and when we can come to center, you know, like the middle way, and we can balance that emoting into being a more even keel, I know I'm okay. I know everything is okay within me. And instead of swinging so far one way or so far the other way, knowing that you're abundant within, in your spirit, and that's how I'm seeing it at this point anyways. And you really have to experience it in your life and look back to and see how maybe you've experienced it, because it is one of those crazy channels. I agree. And you know, it's like the root is, because the root's of pressure. So the root, that pressure, that provoking pressure, Brandy, we talked about this, and I can't remember what we were looking at, was the more higher side of provoking, because you don't always have to provoke the argument, okay? Because there's ways of gently provoking that spirit in us, that abundant spirit in us. Like, oh, I mean, song for me, I mean, honestly, music really does provoke my spirit. You know, I'm looking at it like this. I'm in that aura right now. And I actually was listening to music this morning, and I mean, it was just taking me away. And it was so awesome, and that provoking of the spirit, because then the spirit moves my body in the way that it needs to be moved at the time.
Denise, this is Mary. I'm reading the circuitry book by Richard Rudd, and you have just touched on every single point. And when you just started talking about music, I was like, yep, he mentioned that. He mentioned writing the emotions up and down, emotions having to be provoked from outside, feelings arising from what you said, like every single thing that Richard said for this channel.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you had that handy, and that you pulled that up, and that you could verify and confirm that. That is so awesome. I love it. Yes. Thank you. For everybody, because, you know, I mean, it's not just what comes through me. A lot of the stuff I have read, when I started in human design, Gene Keys and all that stuff, I inhaled the knowledge. It was still all up here in my mind. It hadn't dropped yet down. And it's only been in this since last August, that I have actually been integrating and embodying it. So thank you.
Yeah.
So did that make sense, ML? I don't know your first name, so I have to say ML, because I know that's what it's on the thing. But did that make sense then?
It does. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I just checked your chart too, and I saw that it's all in the it's all in the design side. So
you have no control over that, and it's
right.
Everybody else in your environment, that everybody who's being dramatic and emotional and stuff, that's what you have repressed.
Sugarcoat it, why don't you?
I'm pretty blunt at times. I'll just rattle this stuff off. Here you go.
Yeah, I have the 39, and it's in the red. And I noticed, especially in times where I was less aware, really being funky with that energy, like, and it didn't serve me at all. If anything, it was just showing others how not to be. But it taught me stuff too, you know. It's all for the experience.
Nice. And that makes sense, actually, you know. Yeah, that's the one.
If this is something that I can share, I keep thinking about this.
Yes.
It's from a class that I'm actually having right now on crucial conversations, and I can take a picture of this and share it, but they're talking about this whole idea of a pool of shared meaning, and anything less than candor adding to the pool of shared meaning will sap motivation and dumb down decisions. It doesn't mean that you have to like jump into the pool of shared meaning. It's just there for like all people to kind of look at theories, ideas, feelings, thoughts, opinions. But I guess what I'm hearing, because I'm an emotional generator, and I know, like, I go up and down, and I have the 55, and I guess it's kind of good sometimes to just step back and realize that I don't have to be it, but I could just look at the information. And the other thing about this page I was just looking at in my textbook was saying that slower is actually faster, and then taking the time actually results in more effective results And yeah, anyway, but
Yep,
I'm
I
happy.
agree.
Just
I
thought it
agree. Slow down.
slow down. Yeah.
That's so funny though, like to actually like try to tell myself to slow down. I have 2 modes, and one of them is sloth. Okay, my mom used to call me a snail, but I'm a manifesting generator, so I do kind of go fast at times. But something that with what you just said kind of brought up to me is a quote that I will probably butcher, but basically from Martin Luther King Jr. He said something like, if he wouldn't get half of the things that he gets done in the day if he didn't pray for 2 hours a day.
Mm.
And that to me makes a lot of sense, because I do a lot of nothing, but that's where everything is like falling into place.
Yes.
It's formulating.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think so too. I know that, excuse me, last year, you know, for any of you guys who have been in my group or any of my groups, well, my main group since last year, I, you know, I tried to start, you know, working with others and stuff like that. And then I had to deal with my grandson and the going back and forth of being, you know, there or not. And then all that changed at the end of the year, mostly at the beginning of this year, because what I realized is I was pressuring myself too much. And third lines don't like to be pressured at all. And I was pressuring myself to do things even before that I thought I wanted to do again, that I'd done a long time ago, that I hadn't done in a while. I had to let go of a lot of that. And when I finally just let go and relaxed into my own beingness and really healed that 55 in myself, wow. I mean, the slower I go, the better I am. I can't read hardly. I mean, like before I would read all day, every day, or listening to audio and different things like that. And now it's like, I really have to clear space. And one of the things that really hit me earlier this year was to stop talking to myself. I mean, you know, we contemplate, okay? But sometimes we contemplate so much or talk to our mind so much and what we're doing, even if it's, you know, cool stuff, that we forget to leave that space of not talking to ourselves to allow for the divine inspiration to come in. And so I started practicing that, and man, I'm just blown away by how stuff comes. And I mean, anything that most everything that I post or do, or that I have journaled or anything like that, I don't sit around thinking about how I can change and make my own human design or the whole benevolence cross thing with the 2027. I didn't sit around thinking about this stuff. This is just stuff that it keeps coming to me and through me, and I can't help it. And I finally realized that I just need to let go and know that I have spirit. And because I've gone really deep in human design, and I do have integrated spirit in my body, and then my mind is as an individual, I define things, I label things the way that I want to. And I mean, I've even posted before, if you're going to label stuff, why not label empowering type things? And you know, there was a guy, Maurice, I can't think of his last name off the top of my head, but when I was studying more long Christian esoterics, oh my gosh, this guy wrote a book, a small book on meaning, you know, and how, you know, we put meaning to things, and it's true, you know. And then when you think about like Bruce Lipton with the biology of belief, and, you know, when we put meaning to something, we're putting a belief, we're instilling a belief in a sense in our mind. Okay, and the ajna, the mind, is where the beliefs are, you know. So we receive some information, and how the mind processes it, you know, whether it's going to believe it or not, and depending on if it's defined or not, it's going to look, you know, maybe different. But we don't have to, I mean, we can take a meaning even, or a belief that we have, and change the meaning to it, you know. It's just amazing the things that we can do. I mean, we live here, we might as well have fun. We have words, right? We might as well, you know, do the things that are enjoyable and put new meanings to things and not feel like we have to be stuck and rigid in whatever we took on as beliefs or meanings or anything like that. I make up words. I mean, I started doing that last year like crazy. I'm like, where is this stuff coming from? But it's fun.
Yeah. That what she had shared, I can't remember, was that Mary or
Yeah.
okay, about the shared meaning thing. Okay, that reminds me of the human design system. Okay, so yeah, we have our own meanings to things, and especially like with the Lion Companion and some of the keynotes that Ra comes up with, like 9.2 being misery loves company. Okay.
Yeah, not self, you do.
Okay. But okay, so that's that could be looked at as a shared meaning too. Like we know that that's when we're in the not self, you know. And so having that framework of the shared experience or the shared meanings in that context, it actually works. Because yeah, we can, in our own personal experience, we can make up our own meanings and stuff like that, but then we can still come together and get on some kind of like shared understanding or a common ground with this kind of stuff in relation to how deep we can see ourselves, like when we you know, and like, and I understand some people not wanting to play with that, you know, but there's an exception to every rule, and we are that.
Yeah.
With the 2946, we succeed where others fail and fail where others succeed.
Yeah, I know that channel. My husband's got, excuse me, my husband has that channel and I have the 46, so pushing upward.
And the 29 is my son.
Exactly. I know, I love it.
So together we are going to be doing stuff a little wacky, you know,
Yes.
or what others would think is wacky, because we're not going to succeed doing the stuff that other people do, in my opinion. Anyway, I like that concept of the shared meaning, and whatever that, if you have a resource, I would like to look into that. I would like to check that out.
Definitely. I will send you the resource information.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
You know what else that reminded me of, real quick? Gate 31. With the influence and the language. Something that I've noticed with my friends that have the 31. We like to play with the way words sound. Do you do that too, Denise?
Yeah, I play with the way words sound too, yeah.
That is so fun to me.
Sometimes it sounds weird. I mean, like you could say a word and be like fork. Whoa, that sounds so weird. Okay, now I'm thinking of Chris Farley. That's so funny. And David Spade.
I bend things. So like, say David said, Brandy, you're tripping. I'd be like, no, David, you're triapping. You know, just stuff like that. Anyway, unrelated, but.
It's fun. We need laugh. We need laughter. Good for you. Did you know that there's a laughing yoga? Did y'all know that? It is so cool. If you guys ever get a chance to and you want to check it out, go to YouTube and type in laughing yoga. Awesome. It's been years since I've done it, but I love it.
Anybody have any questions or maybe conundrums in their chart or something they want to talk about? Not related to the nodes, if need be.
Yes, I would like to know about the 360 and what is that mutation about?
About the bridge, what? Say that again.
Oh, that's not about the nodes. I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be about the nodes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The 360, I know it's about a mutation, but I haven't gotten a grasp on what it actually is about.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do that, Brandy, or do you want me to?
Well, I'll just say what's coming to me, which is very simple and not a lot, but I know that it's a format energy, right?
Yep.
And I know that just with the gate 3 by itself is, sorry, is difficult.
Whoa, I'm kidding.
Is difficulty at the beginning. And so for me, the 3, I don't have it in my chart, so I get to see different expressions of it. And from those that I know that have the 3 or the 360, it does seem like there's a lot of struggle at the beginning, like struggle in their life, hard times, financial issues, something not clicking like it really should. And then having to deal with that. But I'm not familiar at all with the 60. I haven't really studied that one that much. So back to you.
I can share my experience of it. So I have the 60, and I had the whole channel all last year during my mutation, during my solar return. And boy, all you have to do is go back and look at everything last year. For me, it's crazy because, okay, I was talking to somebody actually who has this in their life, and when I shared my knowledge of it, and they pretty much confirmed. So it is, yes, a format energy. It's a pulse, and it's an on and off pulse. So their energy is either there and you're able to be more innovative and creative, or it's not. And this person had said that the energy mostly is not there.
Yeah.
But when it's there and it's on and cracking and it's go, and then done. That's it. The creativity is over. And so for somebody who has that all their life, yeah, they're going to have those pulses. So it's a timing thing, you know, a cyclic type timing thing in a sense. Now, what do you have in the 3 and what do you have in the 60? Which planet, I should ask?
Oh, okay. Let's see. The 3, I have Mercury, and the 60, I have Venus.
That had a feeling might be Venus. Is that conscious Venus or design Venus?
Oh, it's design Venus and conscious Mercury.
Okay, so for your design Venus and looking at it from a gene key perspective.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You're good.
Design Venus, and then where did that 3 go? Yeah, conscious Mercury. Sorry.
Conscious Mercury and 3 and design Venus and 60. So what line is she in?
Oh, okay.
You'll know all this by heart at some point.
Okay. It's 3.5 and 60.1.
60.1. Okay, so the 1 is the foundation, you know, just looking at it and the sense of how the lines work and that, so the foundation of it. And so the 60 is a limitation, but within that limitation and those false starts, you know, that being the 60 in the design Venus, the design Venus in Gene Keys is the spiritual quote. And it's like, if you look down the spine of your Gene Key chart, it's part of the spine. And that goes up from the purpose sphere, which is your design Earth. Blue, don't do that. Seriously. So, yeah, it's actually kind of cool, I think, having Venus there, because Venus, for me, I have it in line 4, and so it's harmonic to the line 1. And the line 4 is about resourcefulness, and it's really about being able to be, I mean, in all general, I mean, the way I look at the limitation in 60 period is that it's very similar to the 41. And so 41 is decrease, okay? I know a lot of people call it fantasy and imagination, and that's great. But the thing of it is, it's like we grow actually a lot more in times where we may have decrease or limitation. And when we can tap into the resourcefulness that is there in the 60 through the limitation and are able to offer that, and it just, yeah, it's just so awesome. I love it. And then having that Mercury in the design Mercury, I think of, our communication, what we're communicating. And then of course, I always look at the design Mercury with that as well. But with the design or the conscious Mercury being there, do you notice that you do communicate sometimes difficulties at the beginning, or do different things? Hi, sweetheart. Different things with limitation or anything like that, or being able to also maybe help others to during their difficulty at the beginning, possibly because we all have this in our charts. We all have all the keys, and so I kind of wonder how maybe you've experienced it in helping others as well through their limitation and getting started when it's been difficult at the beginning.
Yeah, I do that. I do that with friends.
Nice. See, yeah, you're using your Mercury in that 3 to help them in that, and then you having that design Venus there. It's like you just with our Venus, with our design Venus. It's like I just see it as such a deep thing, and how we can touch others through that.
Oh, okay.
That's cool, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brandy.
Thank you.
Something I just pulled, I have my I Ching cards, and I just pulled
Yeah.
60 for, I don't know why, I got 60 and 3 here.
Nice.
And the 60 says, acceptance of limitation in the first step in transcendence. It is the space between where mutation takes place. Mutation is released in limited amounts.
So yeah, it's always in the space between. I'm glad that you said that. Thank you. The pulses and what we're doing is always in the space between the pulses.
Yeah, and then line 1 is, which is the foundation of this energy, and it's acceptance.
Oh,
So
I love that.
it says the pulsing pressure to mutate. And then 3,
Right.
I'll read this one just because I have it out. The fundamental challenge of initiation is to transcend confusion and establish order. Individual expression that through example mutates others.
Yeah.
What was
love
your
that.
Yours was 5, right?
Mine?
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Yours was 3.5, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
So that expression comes out as victimization, which again, this is Ra's keynotes.
Right. So what's the opposite of victimization? Right?
Freedom,
because
right?
we're not. Yes, freedom.
Okay.
That's one of the opposites of victimization is freedom, because the thing is always remember that when we're reading these things, we're reading them from, if you're looking at a regular I Ching, you're reading them based on a political patriarchal type stance. And if we're reading them from the Ra's material, it's based on the not self. And so when we're reading these things, if we're not fully connecting with them, what I do literally is I'll go, what's the opposite? And if I don't know what the opposite is, I look it up in the dictionary or, online, because I want to see the range of the different, from the low end to the high end.
Yes.
We're not always stuck in one place or another.
Yeah,
it's fluid.
But along with that, okay, as we were talking about, Ra is speaking about the Maya in his transmission, right? But I really think that there's the purpose of the triggering words that he uses in these keynotes, they do kind of shock us awake a little bit.
Yes,
they get us
absolutely.
thinking about ourselves in that way.
Our shadows.
Shift it. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. So you don't take it as like a definition of.
Yes, exactly.
What it is.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I mean, at first, yeah. I mean, okay. There are so many levels to the way I experimented with this system when I first started. At first, I do think that I took it on verbatim, and I tried them all on. I tried to say, oh, this is me. Oh, this must be me. Or maybe I'm just not there yet because I'm in my not self,
Yeah.
And then I break up with the system because it just didn't feel right. and then I'd get back into it, like, okay, well, maybe I can do some changing of my own perspective, you know, and then, you know, but yeah, so don't take them literally. Like Denise, that was such a good point, and I'm so glad we brought that up today, because it was, you kind of like clarified it. It's really like, what's the opposite is the perfect thing to think about when we're just learning into these Ra's keynotes, which I still think, okay, yeah, there are great different expressions, but I still think it's best to start with Ra's stuff. Even just keep in mind, he was an ego manifester. Keep in mind that a lot of people can get stuck in that fixed mindset of, oh, well, it's got to be like this or it's got to be like that, because Ra said, you know, hold it lightly, but still it's like this source that will help us with our own understanding best, I think.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow, thank you. And another thing is, like, so Ra was an atheist. So how does that affect him?
Okay, I don't know if he really was an atheist. I know he says stuff like that. I listened to a lot of his
He was in the beginning. Then he wasn't. Yeah.
And then, like, Denise, I know you were basically the one who shared what I have been able to ingest of the material. So I know you probably have listened to a lot more, but from the advanced stuff of his that I've listened to, he beats around the bush about the spirituality part. He really does. And he knows that everybody's looking for that. I remember one, he said, oh, you want the fishy? I'll give you the fishy. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's like, he's reverse psychologying in a way. Like, maybe if I act like I'm not talking about spirit, they won't think that I'm trying to give them some spiritual trip. But really, there is no deeper spirituality than looking at yourself in this way, in my opinion. And the way he talks in the older ones is like, I mean, if he didn't actually say he said everything but that to make you to really believe that he was spiritual.
No, he actually, I read in places where he actually said he was an atheist, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
To take
And
well, he says that he was a black magician before he came before he had his encounter. And yeah, that you could say he was like an atheist because he didn't believe in all that kind of stuff. He thought everybody was woo-woo, and really that everything boils down to seeing. And, you know, the more he got into this and the further he got, I mean, there's some stuff that I could share that would blow a lot of people, that a lot of people don't know about. And that, you know, I mean, okay, so all of us, it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, all of us on this call, except for Brandy, are over the age of 45. We need to really, or not need, what would really benefit all of us is, and this is something I've been doing and working on and tapping into, and I can tell you, I noticed a huge difference, tapping into the design side. Yeah. Embracing that, because that is the true yin part. And in later stuff that when Ra talks about the whole yin and yang, there are times when he's like, there is no yang. That's the illusion that it's all yin, you know. And so we can only really experiment and experience it for ourselves to see what really fits. I mean, I'm a manifesting generator, and I'm actually a pure manifester with the ability to generate energy in my body. But that's my mind, and my body is a full projector. And my body has all the intelligence already inside. And I have to remind my mind at times that, hey, you know, the body knows 6 seconds before you even think about it. Yeah. But the more I relax into my body physically, but also just letting go and tapping into effortlessness and allowing life to bring to me, because I do have that generator. We all have the monopole, the magnetic monopole, which is continually attracting to us everything if we are living correctly according to the nodes. The nodes really are the life. Because so one of the things, you know, everybody is all up in arms about learning about their cross, right? You know, we want to know our purpose and how to fulfill it and da 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 da, but you can't. I mean, like if you really, you know, it's not something we can work towards to achieve, but as we are living correctly in the life, which is the nodes, then those things automatically come to us. And the thing to remember is that we are being programmed, we're being conditioned by the program, right? You know, talk about the transits, that's all the transits in the program and all that kind of stuff. And it's the program that's conditioning the sun and earth 70%. And I try to encourage people, and this is something that I'm really tapping into lately, is more or less going by the conditioning of the moon, looking at, you know, the moon and its transits, especially for people who have bridges, excuse me, who have splits, who are split, you know, in any way. And of course, reflectors. I'm single definition, but it's just interesting to kind of follow and see how these things go. But when you think about, it's the program conditioning the sun and earth 70%, and really human design originally is about becoming liberated from the programming's continual conditioning, not that we're getting outside of the program, not that we need to leave anything, but just being aware that that's the conditioning of the program. And it was really about liberating from that. And that's why it's so important. And that's why Ross stressed so much the strategy and authority. Because when you know your strategy, and honestly, you can scrap strategy and just say everybody needs to wait. You know, it's about waiting and letting life bring to you what you need. But when it's really, really about us tapping into our inner authority, which is our power. Because we have for lifetimes given that power away to somebody outside of ourselves, an authority outside of ourselves. And that time is, that change is coming, you know, we may not have those authorities to count on, you know, with the process planning changing. So it really, 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 really boils down to going with what you know is correct for yourself, what's in yourself, however that feels. And everybody's going to experience it in a different way. And I just want to encourage all of y'all to make sure that you tap into what you know is right for you or not. And if you're confused at all, one of the things that has helped me the most is when I feel pressure to do something, or I feel the sandwich pressure that I get sometimes, or the pressure to answer everybody else, or the pressure to respond quicker than what I may be ready to. When I feel any of that as a pressure, or I hear the words, you should, you need to, figure it out, you know, anything like that that has to do with the mind, then I know that that's not it. If the mind starts weighing pros and cons and measuring this and that and judging, then I pull back and I'm like, no, I'm going to sit with this and just allow the body's intelligence to arise and the divine inspiration to come in, and I'll know what I need to do next, because I'll feel that internal nudge. And it took a long time for me to get to that point again. And so I just want to encourage anybody who is still dealing with the mind freaking out, it will quiet down. It's never going to shut up, but it will quiet down. Things will just become a lot less chaotic, and it'll just, there's still going to be chaos in the world. I mean, and in your life possibly, but it's how we respond to it. How we respond to it is best. And I'm not saying you can't react. I mean, I still react at times. It's just a lot shorter, and then I can respond.
That's cool. Okay, so thinking about what you just said, not allowing the mind to get involved, right?
Right.
Or trying to limit that a little bit or reduce it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, overrule your body's decision.
Seeing from somebody who's emotional and they know, one, there's no truth in the now, two, they don't usually have clarity right away.
Right.
So at first I was thinking, well, what then, right? But then right as that thought came up, you had said, allow the body's natural intelligence to, basically what you were saying is like to let your body bring the answers and let the body have its time for its clarity. And that the mind doesn't have to seek for the clarity.
Nope.
The clarity will come
Yep.
over time. Okay.
As long as the mind, yeah, it will. I mean, even if the mind's going crazy, as long as you don't follow the mind and do what the mind says to do, that clarity will come up from within, because the body always knows. I mean, even scrap everything, the body always knows 6 seconds before the mind thinks of it. Always.
That's a good one. We need to make a quote of that.
Yeah.
I'm not that in touch with those messages from my body though, or I don't think I am.
Yeah.
And you may not be. Do you have a split by chance between
I don't.
in your?
No, I'm a single definition.
You are a single definition. Do you have I mean, like, I'm a single definition, and a lot of my defined centers were working in not self, because as a single definition, I should be okay with not needing the other. But of course, I am a generator. I mean, MG, so I have sacral defined, and anybody that's sacral defined, we feel like we need the other.
Well, Denise also, she's single definition, but it's in red, so it's her design.
Oh, okay. And what all is defined? What centers are defined?
She has the root to the emotions in the red sign, and then she has a quantum channel, the 360s.
Right, the 360s
black
to the
and
general.
the 60s red. So she doesn't. I can see that as being somebody that would probably identify with reflector traits.
Yeah, I was going to say that the projector and reflector traits, because what that shows is, so you have the one line from the one channel, which is, I'm going to guess, the 3955.
Yeah, 39.
Yep.
55,
And then the rest, and so that's your body, which is projector then, and your mind then is more like a reflector, in the sense that you consciously are taking a lot of stuff in, and it probably is really overwhelming, would be my guess.
Yeah. So that's the 360. The one you're talking about is 360 right now.
Well, no, what she's talking about is just
the black side of your
yeah.
chart. Only if you were to take away the red channel.
Oh, okay.
Your consciousness is only, would be only that of a reflector. Now, because we're over 45, we're talking about this. Now, I would talk about this with younger people, but only certain younger people, you know, like Brandy, people who are more ready for it. But so the reflector, it can seem vulnerable. I mean, we could feel very vulnerable at times and fragile, because there's so much energy coming in. There's a lot of conditioning there. But there's strength in that. And the strength is that the wisdom. So you have the ability consciously to gain wisdom in all your centers. And like, if you haven't yet had a chance to look through the series I did on the Mind Talk through the centers, that would be a really good series for you to copy and have maybe print out or whatever, so you always have those questions to refer to, because it helps us to see, okay, I'm still trying to answer everybody's questions, my open Ajna head, whatever, or the pressure to do, you know, just all the different things in the different centers. And so when we notice that, it's not like it's going to go away right away, and it may not go away at all, but just knowing, just having that awareness that, oh, that's why I did that. That's so funny. My open center there, you know, that's what, and even define, like I said, because I did all my definition too as not self, as though they were open. So this is why I did the series the way I did, because I realized that it doesn't matter if you're open, undefined, or defined, we can still experience these things. Having that type of stuff handy, it helps us to be more compassionate with themselves and okay with, hey, I fucked up. Oh, well, you know, no big deal. I'm still learning and growing myself, and I'm still growing wisdom in this area. But as we do that more, then that becomes our outer authority to help others, you know, who are still, you know, maybe still trapped in that feeling like they got to prove themselves to everybody, because if they don't, then they're going to get rejected or whatever, you know.
Could I speak to this, not using human design language?
Yeah.
But there's something that this is making me think of called an internal family system approach that's used in therapy. And you don't, like, when you become aware of different parts of you, you don't evaluate it right away, like, is it good or bad? If it's good, we embrace it. If it's not, you know, you try and suppress it or get rid of it. You kind of just welcome all the parts with curiosity and compassion. What is it trying to say to you? And you kind of realize that there's some value in, even if it's something that I don't know, almost kind of like Denise, when you were talking, it made me think of like this central figure, like the central executive getting information from different parts, not saying that anything's bad, but just sort of listening, like, okay, fear, what do you have to say today? Okay, anger, what are you saying? It doesn't mean that you say, I am the fear or I am the anger, but you're just saying, what information do you have? Kind of when I'm hearing this as a reflector, you can take it, but you can just take that pause almost that I guess reflectors need. You can take that pause to determine what you do choose to reflect, but you have this benefit of taking in so much information, but you don't have to be it. And I think that's what you're already saying, but you get to man, what a way to take in information from just all around you and not necessarily become it, but just let it inform you.
Yes, being aware, noticing it, and not attaching that's it. You know, like whenever we feel sadness come through, you know, it's like, you don't have to say, oh, I'm sad. I mean, it is about, oh, I'm noticing sadness right now. I don't think I'm sad, but there's sadness that is arising, and then allowing that. Because there could be a part that you or somebody else in your vicinity that is sad.
Yeah. In my Lightworker practitioner training, we learned about that approach for shadow work. And what I think is really cool is adding the gene keys or the human design system, or both, is that it's not just, it's like a more differentiated understanding of these energies. So instead of it just being sadness, where's the sadness coming from? A fear. Okay, a perfect example for me is fear. Okay, the spleen and all of those numbers that are on the spleen are related to a different type of fear, right? So the 50, this fear of responsibility, can be so overwhelming. And to know that it's not just fear I'm combating or working on, it's the fear of responsibility, and then reassuring myself, wow, you're getting a dog pile.
Oh my goodness.
I love how animals switch up the energy sometimes.
Yes, right?
Yeah, so fear of responsibility and being able to be that specific in each gate can really pinpoint and help us to deal with in a super practical and efficient way, so that we can get to the bottom of these energies, you know, because like doing the shadow work integration, it was great. It was like a really cool way to see different expressions of the energies, but not being the same kind of spectrum as gene keys, but it had like, you know, the healthy expression is this way, or the unhealthy expression is this way. Same concept, but with more specific, fine-tuned energies that can like really unlock some stuff in us. Like, now that I know that, I'm not going to have the same, you know, I'm not going to work on fear of survival when it's fear of responsibilities. Yes, I can work on
that's a
fear.
good point.
Yeah, yes, I can work on fear of survival, but then I'm going to still have that lingering fear of responsibility in the background. And I'm going to be like, wait, I thought I dealt with this. Why is my life still falling apart? You know? So yeah, it's just a really cool, yeah, it's kind of complicated at times, but it's a luxury of a tool that we have, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Does a 57 have fear?
Yes.
It does.
The 57, I know that one. That's a fear of the future.
I thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
Or what? Or was it past? Whatever.
I
It's
thought it
all
was
there. I
fear
got
of
the
death,
48
but-
and 57. Oh, the fear of death is in 28.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, they're all fear of something.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I love it. I love the fear gates because it really helps us to see where these fears come from.
Yeah. And it's like an upgrade for us, you know? It helps us to upgrade past what we could before. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, that was the Richard Rudd book is talking about having that underlying fear of the future and the unknown, that kind of survival.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Yeah, because I've had that. So the 57, you know, I have that with the Uranus. I love it. Oh my goodness. And I'm, you know, the 57 is, mine is connected, of course, to everything because I have all 4 integration channels and the knowing circuit to the 20. So the 57 is when I was totally out of sync, I did fear the future a lot and the unknown. And I was afraid of the void. My ego didn't want to go there because it was like, what? What do you mean? I'm not real? What? Wait a minute. And I'll never forget when I first experienced slowing down. So back in 2013, I actually was at a retreat for an MLM company that I was getting into, and there was a hypnosis guy there, and he had us all relax. And my body had been so full of tension for so many years that I had never been able to relax since I was 29 or 30. And it was amazing. I had never felt anything as awesome as that. And then that's when I started getting off all my prescriptions and everything, because I have fibromyalgia. And I remember, so that was the experience I had in October. And then the very few months later, I had an experience where I sat down, or it was probably right after that, actually. I was sitting down where we were living at the time, and all of a sudden, because I was practicing the slowing down stuff, I felt like I was way ahead of myself. And it came back and it rested into my body, and it was the most bizarre feeling I'd ever felt. I didn't realize how far ahead I was of myself and how much tension I had. And that started my healing journey. That was awesome. Slowing down is really, 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 really important. And, you know, just allowing. I think of the pearl in Gene Keys when I did my pearl for the second time this last year, and I had posted about it. I see it as, if you can imagine, okay, like an illusionist. We've all seen this trick, the illusionist that levitates a woman, right? And her legs and her head, everything is laying back, and it's like her belly button is what's being pulled up. And that's how I see the pearl. It's like, yeah, from the belly button being attached, and everything else is just laid back and allowing everything drops.
Wow.
I see it as when we unite with the pearl, or however you'd want to say it, when we connect with that, all the rest of the chart almost like could, you know, just drop. But then I see that in the design as well, you know, I mean, so like I see different ways, and maybe it's, you know, different times however that works, because I know the pearl is based on not the design side, but I really feel that, yeah, it don't matter. It just is a really cool way of just looking at surrender and letting go, whether that's through the design and also, or with your pearl, because I know some people do follow more along the gene key line than they do the human design line, and that's totally fine.
Could there be a way? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Seriously, it's okay.
Would there be a way to look at your design side only and line
Yes.
it up with the pearl?
Oh, and line it up with the pearl. Well, yeah, because that's what I'm saying, and or because that's how I see my pearl, and how I see my design. I, would put them together, and I was gonna say that I would add the design Jupiter as well to that pearl, but really there's no need because it's part of the design, so it'd be the design. So yes, I feel like in my experience for myself, when I just take the pearl from Gene Keys and the design from human design side and really relax into that and surrender to that, and then it's like the expression through the conscious side, the mind side, can be expressed in a way it could be used by the design side to express through the consciousness.
That's really cool. The pearl, which you said about it could just like pull you along, or you're being pulled by your belly button or whatever.
Yeah, but you're hanging and you're like suspended in air. It's like that. I mean, it's that kind of surrender.
That's really a neat analogy and a visual for me, because my pearl is 34. And so when I'm forceful, it doesn't work out for me.
Nope, that's right.
But my strength is when I let go.
Yes.
That's so weird and oxymoron.
And it feels good, doesn't it?
I have a question. My pearl is 36. 36.
Okay, cool.
What line is your pearl in?
It says pearl. Yeah, pearl.
I'm just curious the line, because I have 36
It's
as
4.
well.
It's 36-4.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I was just curious if it was 6 lines, because I know how they are. Go ahead.
I see her design. It's like coming to life for me. It's funny because I remember you talking about this a couple weeks ago, where you're just able to like see charts, just like, okay, she's on a cross attention. She's got the 3, the difficulty at the beginning. She's got the gentle. Like I really feel like you are here to help people in some way understand that, I don't know, maybe shadow work or something like that, because it's like it's almost like the keynotes are really setting you up here to have a crappy first half of your life, if not more, so that you can have all these rich experiences and lessons to share and to give to others, with that biting through and having to like really just grin and bear it, you know.
Breaking out, finding the point of transition from darkness to light. Oh wait, that's 3, never mind. Surveying, accessing your way by following your own light through all situations. Your way through life depends, hang on, dang it, on you accessing your own inner clarity or not in all crisis. Let's hold that chaos, that crisis, that 36. We are here to shine light. Get off of him. Here to shine light. I mean, the eye of the storm, the eye of the storm. I always think of the eye of the storm with this. You know, one of the things that I had read that I thought was so cool with the 36, it was called Brightness Dimmed, and it was like, it was as if we were bright, and then the darkness came, the night or whatever, and then we can come back into that brightness. Now mine's in line 6, and it's in my Mars, which is my mutation. in human design. And because it's on the roof, it's already looking at the next hexagram, which is 25. Well, no matter what, you know, yours is a fourth line, so you're already in the upper hexagram area. And so, you know, I look at it as within the chaos, we can still have a loving spirit. We can still love the spirit, because the 25 is the love of the spirit. So, yeah.
How do you, like, my pearl is 50 and then line 2.
Oh, cool.
How do you, when you hear these words, I start wondering, like, what's really the variation? It seems like the words start becoming really, either really fine-tuned, or I start thinking about, okay, what's the difference between...
Yeah.
You mean like the words I'm saying specifically, or the words that you're reading and whenever you're reading about your different stuff?
Well, like when you just read and explained what you explained about the pearl there, I'm hearing it. I agree with it. And then, but then when I look at the word for pearl 50 line 2, I go harmony, equilibrium. And then I'm like, well, how come these words start sounding similar? And then, so how do you like tease them apart?
Okay. I get what you're saying. All right. Well, each line, I'm not sure how, I'm speaking about this in a way that maybe other people can understand too. I don't know where you are with the lines, but the lines, okay, so when we're talking about the gene keys, they are an extra layer of like how this is expressed. So it's not just the word, it's also like, how is this line expressed? So for me, I have 4 activations of 50. I have number 2, I have 1 and 4, I think, just off the top of my head. This is about values, and it's also about corruption. It's like, this is on your personality side? Because it's your pearl, right?
Yeah, it's on our personality.
And it's line 2?
Yes.
Okay. The value of historical continuity, whose traditional values serve and enrich the present and future, establishing rules and laws of caring. So, determination, guarding and maintaining the tribe. How does that flow with determination? Being expressed as a 2. See how many layers there can be on it? So like the words are just like a quick description keynote, but it's like the first line, if you've ever read the line companion, Ra Urahu's Rave I Ching, it kind of explains the foundation of this energy in the first line. Even if you don't have the first line, to read the first line helps you to like, it gets you in the vibe of what this energy is all about. And then there are just slight distinctions of how the energy flows out.
Blue.
But
no, that makes sense. Actually, read the line before to understand the line you're in, maybe.
Yeah, but so say in another line, like in another activation of your chart, you have line 5, right? You still want to read line 1 of it.
Okay.
Because line 1 is the foundation. It like sets the scene for what this energy is gonna do in our shared human experience. But really quick about the 50. This is an intuition thing. I kind of shared this with somebody before, but I think that this might have some merit. Okay, so source energy is flowing through us, into us, to be expressed out of us, right? And depending on how many, unhealed trauma or pain or conditioning or whatever, it can change what is being flowing through us, and when it comes out, it can corrupt what comes out of us, and so that has a lot to do with staying determined and really being clear about what is coming out, because this is the energy for that sets the values in your life experience or anything in relation to that. But a lot of times, like, especially I'm learning from then and re-seeing, you know, like going back and getting more clarity on what had already happened. I see sometimes I'll be wanting to say something and it doesn't come out like that.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is corruption in some way, on some level. So with that, whatever, I hope that helped in some way.
It actually really did. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking the tending to go back and speak in tribal terms versus individual terms.
Yeah.
Yes. Ah. Yes.
Goodness.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I see there's only really two of you on with us. I can pull
We
more
lose
cards,
them? No, it's all good.
or I don't know.
I'm just wondering about all these channels coming off my emotional center, include, you know, not only the channel that defines me as emotional, but then there are other channels that all adds together to make me like super emotional. Is that what it is?
You mean the white channels in our charts?
Well, not only, I'm sorry, I have gates as well as that channel. I have other.
Oh yeah, your hanging gates.
Yeah.
Okay, so most of them are in undefined centers, right?
Her emotional center is defined, so she's got a lot of stuff hanging off of that one too.
36, 6, and 30 are personality. And the 22 is both personality and design.
Mm-hmm. In a defined area, so they, so
30,
whenever you connect with others, there you're gonna end up connecting with them based on those. So like thinking of the throat, okay, which is a really good example when somebody has a defined throat, but it's not, and it has other hanging gates off of it, it would mean that when they are talking in conversation with others, it's going to be based on their defined throat gates that are hanging off and how they communicate, just like with the mind. Like if you had a hanging 24, you're going to end up, whenever you are connecting with other people, is going to be more of a rationalizing. And with you having more of those activations in the divine center, those are going to be, of course, more consistent in how you would function with those 36, of course, chaos, the 22 grace, the 6, you know, friction, which can, of course, lead to liberation, which is cool.
it can what?
Lead to liberation is the way I look at it, peace and liberation. And then the 30, of course, you know, that hanging can be a real doozy at times because, you know, the desire is there, the desire to start a new experience all the time because you're reaching out to the 41. And so the 30 is constantly waiting for that. And then that 36 hanging, which is part of that whole stream of the experiential way, is that's the chaos before the progress on the other end, the 35. And so you've got the 2 hanging off the emotional part. So you've got within the desire and the chaos, you're waiting like for that connect from the 41 and the 35 in order to start a new experience and then for it to progress. And it can be a roller coaster type ride in a sense, whether it be fun or not, you know, that's kind of the way that energy works. So.
Yeah, so what I took from that wasn't said was, okay, so when you have a gate, but you don't have the whole channel, that energy is waiting to be connected to the other side, reaching out for it. And so when it's connected, that energy of your gate will be the consistent way of how you have that energy, like that energy is working through you.
Because it's a defined center, yeah.
Yeah. And so anytime somebody connects with that gate, that's what they're going to get, right? Like that's your guys' dynamic. And it can mix differently with other people. Like say another person has the 41. When you're with them, your energy can click up with their, say they have a 41 with a different line expression. So it'll be different every time, but this is what you're bringing to the table. This is your consistent way of being. And whenever there's nobody around and it's just a hanging gate, you don't really even need to worry about it because it doesn't bring power unless it's a channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And you can always test the energy too, just so you know, every month, because if you, so in the Intuitive Human Design group, if you don't already have it in the files, is the ephemeris. You could track the moon, and that would be the easiest way, especially since your only true definition is through the design, and it is the moon that conditions the design, just like it's the moon that also conditions and that reflectors follow. That might be a really good test, and for you to kind of get a better feel for how those energies work from the hanging gates of your definition compared to the hanging gates of your undefined centers.
Oh, okay.
Some of the things you say, Denise, I'm writing them down. We're going to make some memes and put in the group.
Okay, that sounds great. I love that idea. I get these big packets of information that come down and they just kind of come out, and Brandy's able to take a lot of that and go, okay, this is how we can organize it.
So cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you compare and contrast when you're following the moon? Do you compare and contrast like the moon gate in the body and in the mind? And kind of
I have not done that yet, but that is a really good idea, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I need to go pull up that ephemeris, and I need to take a whole month, and I need to write up down on a separate piece of paper in a new notebook the moon through the whole month. I might do that actually starting in April, and because we're just about there anyways, this would be perfect. And I encourage anybody else who wants to do that and let us know of your experience. But so for April, I'm going to do that. I'm going to test and see how I notice it through my fixed definition and through any of my open centers. I have one open center, and then through my other undefined centers to kind of get an idea of how that actually really feels.
That's going to be interesting to hear what you discover from that.
Ah, I love it. I love trying new things. I got to write it down, so I got to grab my pen while I'm thinking about it. Oh, a notebook.
Okay, so we have probably about 15 more minutes, 15 more minutes. Any other questions that we can dive into before we go?
I don't know. What do you feel like talking about?
Let me think. And Denise, when you're done writing, maybe something will come out for you.
I'm thinking about going potty.
Oh.
Good one, huh?
I like this loose format kind of class thing, and the fact that we're able to just share freely and flow. I think that this is really, us both being 3/5s, this is really good for us because the pressure thing really can be a crusher. And just like wanting to have it together,
Yeah. And I have the channel, the 15/5. So if you're in my aura, you're going with my flow and my rhythm, and I can't help it. That's
cool.
how I best function.
Well, I have a question. I have a completely open head and a completely open G center.
Cool.
And if it weren't for the hanging 19 gate on my mind side, if I just look at it just on my body side, then I would have a completely open root. And then so then I'm like, okay, pressure sandwich, who am I? What the heck? Then I start really thinking, like, even if I go by the right side of my chart, it's kind of funny. I'm still, I'm laughing at myself because I'm actually like feeling pressure, and in my mind I'm like, who am I?
And you don't know, and you never will.
I don't even know what to ask, and I don't even know where to go. But it's like
Be the projector and get to know who everybody else is.
Right.
Wait, what's your chart? What's your design type?
I'm a 2/4 generator, but if I were just on the red side, then I would be a projector. Is that what you said, Denise?
Yeah, she has a body of a projector and the mind of a generator. The body of projector is only connected, the only connected channel is with the nodes in the 3740. And then she has the south node and the 59 connecting to the 6, which I can't remember off the top of my head which planet that is, but that is a planet. So if you took away the node, she's a reflector. I mean, I'm not saying to take away the nodes, but that is something I've been kind of playing around with and toying with. As far as definition goes, just for, you know, I mean, like testing purposes, I'm not quite yet there, but that is something that's come to me.
I was asking because she sounds so sensitive, and it makes sense being a 2/4.
And especially with that hanging 50 and that hanging 19, because, you know, the hanging of, you know, what is my responsibilities and my values in the family. And she's got that 19 that's hanging out and reaching out to that 49 going, I see your needs and I'm going to take care of them. I know I can fix them, you know, type thing. And so I love it.
Who are you talking about?
Mary.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so what
was my question?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I guess my question is like, who am I? I'm still like going back to that open G, just looking at everything going, who am I still?
Right, and you know that projectors are, I mean, I know that I think you're aware that projectors are also the same type, are very similar to, just like reflectors are, to people who have an open G. Because the projector is here to know the other, to penetrate the other and know them, not to know themselves. The reflector has to be in the correct environment in order for them to have the correct people and opportunities. And then that's the same way with the open G. So the open G, it's very important for you to be in the correct environment in order for you to have the correct people and opportunities in your life, just like the reflector in that sense. And like the projector, you're not here to get to know yourself in that sense. Then with the open G, you're here to know how other people's identities, and then that's where your main wisdom is, because you'll be able to then use that as your outer authority and help people to find out who they really are at their core, which is really cool. And that's what projectors do as guides.
That is interesting.
Okay,
and so you got a double whammy of it. I love it.
What's your incarnation cross?
4 ways. The second one.
And
Civilization.
What's your sun, conscious sun?
It is 33-2.
Oh my goodness, I have a baby niece. She's 2 years old. She has a very similar design. Same incarnation cross, of course. Same sun. Defined head, defined ajna, and no other definition.
Wow.
Super sensitive little baby. I don't know why that came up to me, but who are you? Well, you're a generator.
Yeah.
So everything, I feel like, okay, so yeah, you might be a projector in your body. So to me, that kind of brings up maybe like leading by example in some way, but you're a hermit. So, I mean, and I'm not saying that in any kind of negative way. That's just a keynote. Because you do need a lot of
her aloneness.
Huh?
She does like her alone time.
I do, but it's funny though, when I get around defined head and ajna people and I express my opinions, they're sort of like, well, who are you to say that? Or what's your experience? Or just something. And I feel like, I don't know.
Well, you're not, sorry to interrupt. But you're not knowing, your uncertainty is probably being reflected by them for you to look at. Because being a generator, you're going to be bringing the
energy or
the circumstances that serve you. Like, I know, like what Denise was just saying, like, as long as you're this, like you're in the right environment. I know that that's what they say, but I have a feeling like people are where they're supposed to be regardless for some higher purpose. Like, it might suck for you, especially in your mind, but it's probably serving your environment in some way.
Yeah.
Because you're a generator, and we are fuzzy, buzzy, enveloping, loving people like to feel us and stuff like that. But you do need your own space. So whenever you're, oh gosh, my mom has a defined head and ajna, and when I'm around her, I say the weirdest stuff and I feel so uncomfortable. It's because it's from her. It's not me.
I love it.
Thank you for saying that.
Hey, you guys, real quick, I'm gonna turn off my video and my sound, but I'm gonna leave my phone up and I'm gonna plug it in. You guys continue because I'm listening. I got to do a couple things. I like feeding the dogs and whatnot, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Awesome.
I guess this made me think it's really important then to really focus on going back to the very beginning of the meeting when we were talking about incarnation crosses and how you look at them, because then that draws things to you through your magnetic monopole.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even really put that together. I was just like trying to get an understanding of what other stuff can be going on. Because what I've learned is that each thing kind of like supports the other thing or plays off of the other thing in our charts. It's not just like, you know, some people are just all about gung-ho about one activation, but whenever you put everything else together, it kind of like layers properly or something.
Actually, that's the question that I keep asking that I wanted to ask you and or Denise. When you look at things individually, but they seem to maybe seemingly clash with each other, how do you put like a hierarchy on what, you know, when people talk about fears in the spleen, but what if there's like fears that show up? I have a 15-year-old son, for example, who has a defined spleen, so you would think he would have different fears, but like some of his fears end up seemingly showing up through his head. And I know I wish I could just show you his chart, but it's just kind of interesting to me, like, how do you ascribe things to certain areas?
Okay.
Hierarchy, yeah.
Well, okay, first of all, with the hierarchy question, Karen Curry Parker, I'm not sure if you follow her work at all.
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. She talks a lot about the conundrums in the chart. So like, for me, those would take the precedence. Anytime I see like a real obvious conundrum, it's usually like part of, I don't know if you want to call it karma, or part of the lessons that life is here to like teach you so that you can, because the bottom line is like we have gifts that we have to uncover so that we can be of service with those gifts. And so we're going to have to go through a lot of crap to get there, you know? And
Okay.
so, okay, so with me, desire is my evolution. So gate 30, that's my personality earth, right? And my motivation is desire. But the shadow of gate 30 is what is desire. That's the shadow expression. That's not where I'm supposed to be. If my frequency is in that kind of, it's unhealthy. But my motivation is desire. So how does that work, right? That's a conundrum.
And that's where the lessons are then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, big lessons. Because when you overcome, or when you, it's the more that I'm only 3 years into this, okay? But the more I learn about this stuff, the more subtle it is. It's subtle frequency changes. So like when I'm in transference, when I'm not in my desire frequency signature of my main motivation and driving force, then I'm in innocence, meaning I'm not trying to get involved. I'm sitting around just being and hoping everything works out around me, or whatever, however that looks for desire or innocence at the time. and that's not healthy for me. That doesn't serve me. So I have to like kind of like skate this fine line of being light with my desires, not
Yeah.
being in that desire like neediness, but also the higher desire and like and see like other things come into play. My conscious sun is 29, which is commitment. So where is it best for me to commit? What desires are good for me to commit to, and what desires are not good for me to commit to that don't serve me? So I have to play with those different elements. And when you have a conundrum, you usually will have to pull in other elements of your design so that you can see how it supports this conundrum of overcoming it, or getting into that right frequency,
Yeah.
so that you can be that fuller expression, which is again so subtle of a change.
Subtle. I get, yeah, I hear you, what you're saying.
Mary, I have Stephen's chart up now. What's the fear that you were seeing in him again?
When he was a little boy, he used to come in and lay down on the floor next to me, and he'd want to hold my hand, and he was afraid. He thought that if I died, like he wouldn't know where I went.
28.
Pardon?
28. Oh, sorry. Hang
Is that
on. Sorry about that. I think I cut out. That's gate 20, his gate 28 in the design.
Okay, that's what does that? Okay. Yeah, so he wanted to hold on to my hand so that in my sleep and in his sleep, yeah, if something happened, then I think he felt like he'd still know.
And this is when he's little, right? You're talking about before, well, yeah, because he's definitely not 40 yet. And that's in his
Yeah.
south node. That's
Okay.
in his south node, so.
Well, that's amazing. So that's what I was curious, like, but his like his head's defined, his ajna's defined, his spleen is defined.
Okay,
So
wait, was I looking at the wrong chart? Because I was looking at Stephen's chart.
Oh, maybe, okay, oh, sorry, I'm talking without looking at it.
Okay, because he doesn't have head and action defined if you're talking about your son Stephen, right?
You are correct. You just corrected me. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Making sure. No, you're fine. No. Hey, that's how we learn. I mean, because even somebody with a defined head and ajna, they're gonna have more fears in a sense, because they're the fixity, the fixedness in the mind, when it's like that, it does make it can make things a lot more fearful. I mean, even if things are going okay, they're still fearing that there's not enough or whatever, you know, depending on what gates, because you got to remember the mind is fearing and anxiety through all of the hanging gates and centers. And even if they're defined, I mean, really, I mean, if you just take the whole thing and just read that whole list of all those series that I did, for example, put them all in one thing, and just all the way down that list is probably about maybe between 50 and 100. I don't know, but it's like, wow, yeah, man, I'm going crazy about this today. And it's, you know, you could see it. And that's the beauty of it, is being able to see when it is the mind that is affecting the centers over us allowing over true fear. You know, bears in the backyard, he's trying to get in your house and the baby's right there. Yeah, that's true fear.
So I'm definitely hearing both you and Brandy in different ways, then speaking to the subtlety. And just, I guess, taking the time to get to learn, being able to, let's see, I heard you say relax into your body, the observing the different things that you do to allow a person to actually realize, and not just generally, like, you know, slap a label on, well, that's your spleen, that's where your fear is. No, you could actually find it in different areas and in different ways.
Yeah, because the thing is that honestly, like, and pulling back everything, it's the mind, the reptilian mind. That's what I mean, if you want to go way back. It is the reptilian mind. We all have it. We all have the reptilian mind, the mammalian mind, and the higher conscious mind, which is our self-reflective ability. And so, you know, in the beginning of human life, the instinctive, there wasn't really language or anything like that. And there was animals that were bigger than us. And we had to have that sense of smell and taste and that fear to ignite that reptilian brain to go, hey, it's time to run. Here comes an animal. It's trying to prey on you. And then, that's our first awareness center. And so that has changed and moved into more of an intuitive awareness. And going back to that gate 57, that fear of the unknown is also an intuitive gate as well. And so the intuition or the fear instinct to know that, it's okay, you're in the jungle and it's unknown and what animals around the corner, and that's more an instinctive thing. And we live now in cities and stuff like that, and just being able to intuitively know what's correct for us and what's not out of that. And so yes, it really does boil down to, even though the fears come out of the splenic center, as far as, each gate is a fear gate on the low end, but it is the mind, though, that is expressing fear and anxiety through all of the centers. And when they're undefined or opened, it is, even fixed, I really have to keep going back to that. It doesn't matter, because somebody, whether you're open, defined, or undefined, can still have, or working those centers incorrectly when the mind is in control. Like for me, my mind had a huge control over me, because, when we have situations that happen in life that was just too overwhelmingly shocking, and we shut down our ability to be able to cope or deal or work through those things after the initial shock, which is generally what we can do, but we keep that shock inside. Instead, the mind is like, oh, sweet, man, I got something. Yeah, I'm going to use this really good, and we're going to control this woman's life, and, it's all downhill. No, but our mind is supposed to be used for, our minds are here to really be used by us, now and nowadays, and not by just the instinctive fear out of the spleen. And so the mind, we've been in that awareness, and that's the awareness that's going away. And there is intuition in the mind as well, in case y'all didn't know that. And then that's where we're coming into the full transmission of the solar plexus, the emotion system. We haven't even really tapped into, or come close to tapping into, the fullness of the emotional solar plexus. Yep. Because we've never even, you just look back look back a little further than that, back in the 50s and before, and even a little after, boys weren't allowed to cry, suck it up, type thing. And so there's been a lot of suppression in the emotions, with our emotions. We started to open them up, maybe in the 17th century or past that somewhere. It hasn't been that long. And then now because there's been all this craziness, now we're coming to a time where that is going to start transforming. And that's why it is important, as much as we can, to have emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, whatever you want to call it, to help stabilize that, so that we're not caught with every whim and emotion tossing us to and fro.
It's true.
May I ask about one thing? The 21.3 as my life's work. It's the personality sun. So I was just wondering how such a gate and line could be life's work.
For the 21.3 as a life's work, what just came to me, our friend Melinda, she's really into the gene keys, and something she shared with me was you learn the lessons that life teaches you related to this key, or the 21, so that you can share that as your greatest gift to humanity. Like the gift of that and the city of that is your what you can really leave here for others, your contribution, because you are living that in however it is, what is but all I can think of is biting through and line 3, meaning a changer, right?
But my motivation is innocence.
Yeah, but
That's awesome. I love that. Motivation, innocence, third line. That's great. That's some great stuff right there. And with that 21, so that actually is perfect. I'm sorry to cut you off, Brandy,
cool.
but
Cool.
man, okay. So the reason why I say that's perfect is because Raj talked about this a lot, and I agree because I have this myself in my design Chiron. Is that oh, here, I'll pop back on the video.
Oh yeah, please put on your video.
Yeah, I'll put that on. Okay. All right. So, okay, so the 21, and especially hanging, is one of the hardest hanging gates to work with. And then you have innocence on top of that, and you're a third line. That's a good conundrum. I love it. 3-way conundrum. But it's good because getting to feel the energy of it, then and this may make sense, is that, so the 21 is about control. And we want to control not only the resources, we want to control everybody. We want to control our environment. We want things to be a certain way. You have in that 6 line, that 6 color, you see the perfected potential in everything, probably just like I do, even though my color 6 is in my perspective. And that's why I see that. You probably know in your mind the perfected potential in everything that you know you could control, if you could control it, but you can't. And it's not for you to, because that 6-line innocence is about you not getting involved at all. The third line, so you can utilize that third line going on a higher note with that third line, and you can attune yourself, okay? You can attune yourself to the jazz that's going on. Okay, so the tempo in jazz, you know, it changes, it goes here, it goes there, we become adaptive and we flow with it, but we don't get involved and go, no, you need to change and do it this way. You know, no, that's not going to work. You know, I can pull this right now. I see the perfected perfection if you just do this, and it's like, or perfected potential. It's about just allowing all that to go and flow in its own music in its own ways. And when you're invited or asked to, hey, I need your help because I need to control this, but I don't know how to. And if you feel drawn to do that, and it's more in an innocent way, not like you trying to get involved, but knowing that you can be a role model, an example in that. It's just awesome. I love it.
That's cool, Denise. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Denise and Brandy.
Did that help?
Yeah, so
Okay,
I
cool.
toned down the control a bit. Okay.
Yes. Take down the control, yeah, because if you were noticing, and it is a controlling thing that is really, that you're seeing, know that you don't need to do that. You could just back off, and I'm telling you, oh my God, your body is gonna love you so much for just letting go of what you think, because this is mind we're talking about. This is where that is. It's your mind going, I can do this. I know. If they would just listen to me. You have no initiating energy.
Yeah.
Yours is all projected, meaning that as soon as somebody recognizes that in you, then yeah, that opens up that door to you being able to share that. And you'll be able to help so many people with that too, as they come to you and ask. But you can role model it right now, because I don't care if the 6 is in the line or the color or the tone. It's about being a role model and not being involved. It's like the sage on the hill, but not necessarily saying, no, you can't come to me. But you don't want necessarily like followers. You just want to be able to express and role model that which, yeah, you are.
Yeah, because I am a 3/6, but I don't.
Nice.
I don't
Okay.
feel like a role model. I don't feel like.
When you get that, you'll be changing the way people feel about themselves for the greater good.
By you being the example in your own self, by role modeling who you really are. It's not that you're role modeling in the sense that you're mentoring, though you could mentor as well. Because the third line can also transcend to the sixth line, like that's 3/5, which is really cool. And yeah, and you're, you know, I mean, I don't know if you know about the cycles of the sixth line or tripart being. And so your first 30 years, you have a triple 3. So all that experience and trial and error and everything. And then the testing, if you did testing type stuff. And then moving into at your Saturn return around the age of 30 into that more objective view. So you're kind of on the roof, you're kind of back, you're doing your thing, and you're watching how everybody else is doing their thing. And then after that, at the Chiron return, which is around 50, it's the time to come down off the roof. And some don't want to, some are excited to, it just really depends. And I add in the Uranus opposition, even for 6 lines, because of what Uranus does in astrology. When I started in astrology, is that Uranus comes when it's saying, okay, it's time for you to be who you really are. And so a lot of times when you're able to work with that chart, the Uranus chart, and then coming into the Chiron chart, that's when you start to blossom. And I'm noticing this with third lines as well, and I'm getting ready to write something on that too, that I feel are tripart beings just in a little bit different way maybe.
Yeah.
So have you had your Chiron return yet, do you know?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm 68, almost 69.
Okay, so you're getting ready for your second Saturn return. That's so awesome. Right on.
You mean the third? Wait. How many returns are there?
Rabbit hole.
No, the first Saturn return is at 30, or right around 30, and then the second one is right around 60, and there is part of that for also 6 lines as well, which is really cool.
So I've already had it because I'm 68, almost 69. So I've already had it.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Well, I'm 68. I'm almost 69. Next week will be 69.
So
I've already
I
had
thought you said 58. I love it. You look so young. It's so great.
68, 69. Yeah.
Right on. Oh my God, that's so cool. You look so young. I love it. So yeah, you're past your second Saturn return. Yeah, absolutely. But the cool thing is so like what I found for me, because a lot of the stuff I didn't find out till later, is being able to look back and go, oh my God, that was my experience. You know, I mean, like this was the crap I was going through or whatever, or yeah, I noticed this transformation. So being able to do that and then look forward is awesome.
Denise.
And then embracing what needs to be embraced. Sorry, go ahead, Brandy.
Sorry. I don't know if you noticed, but we have a new guest, Dan.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Dan. And thank you, Brandy.
Maybe if you have any questions, Dan, about the nodes, or if you have any questions in regards to any of this human design kind of stuff.
I just have been like in observation and in listening. Well, like earlier you were discussing the 6th line, and I'm a 3/6, and I carry the 10th gate, and so I was just processing the conundrum of having the 10th gate as a 6th line it's a fucking nightmare, because you're so concerned with this like high expression of behavior, and you just dying to witness that in everyone else and for everyone else to evolve. And I was discussing with my friend earlier actually, because she's a 4/6 and we both carry the 10th gate. Yeah, and it's interesting because from what I've seen of my family's charts, I don't have another member that carries the 10th gate, at least in my immediate family, and so I feel marginalized. But I know that's the purpose of my design. That's what I've chosen. But yeah, just the 6th line with the 10th gate is just is very heavy.
So it's not a channel, and what's in the 10th gate again?
It's I think it's named the treading of the behavior of the self. And so
no, I mean, what planet, and is it in your designer conscious in your mind?
I can't recall what line. One moment, I will. Wait, one moment. I forget. It is. Let me look. Which one this is.
While you're finding that, I'll read this, what it says on a card real quick.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It says, Gate 10, treading, the underlying code of behavior, ensuring successful interactions despite circumstances. The role of perfecting our form, its survival, and the conviction which guides it. It says, the behavior of self, the love of self is awakeness. And the line 6 is the role model. So,
Oh, she had that in the line 6. I'm glad that you heard that. Okay, cool.
doesn't
The
the
role
line,
model behavior.
Yes, sorry, apologies. Yes, it's the.
And
it's,
you're already looking
it's
at the
it.
next gate.
okay, so that's the 11, right? Wait, no, what's the next gate?
No, 58. 11's before, so 58 would be next.
Okay,
Almost positive. I'm just
and
double
what
checking.
planet is it, Dan?
Oh, Uranus. It
Oh,
says.
so it's your,
Oh, that's your
Uranus.
on track. I love that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 58 is afterwards. Okay, I was just checking. So the 10th gate. Okay, so we were talking earlier a little bit about this, but any 6th line on any gate is already looking to the next gate. So if you were to follow like the king by itself, then it is 11 that would be following, which is ideas. And then, but in the wheel in human design, the next gate is 58, which is the gate of joy.
oh yeah, the joyous.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have this gate also.
Cool.
Nice.
What line is your 58?
5.
Where's my 58 card?
Which is the it said that's the one of the heretic.
Yeah. We're heretical. We got a message. It's coming.
Ah, okay, yes. Just leave the planet though.
So what do you think about that, Denise? So if the 10 is 10.6, but you're saying that line 6 is already looking at the next gate, would the next gate be then, what line would we be considering then?
You would be considering the first line, so the foundation of that whole gate, and that would be the line that you would want to read with that. So I'm going to use an example because I know she didn't hear this before, just in case.
Wait, can I interject for a moment?
Yeah.
Can you so explain the semantics of when so when you're looking to the next gate, like what does that translate to?
So I can only use it based on my own example because that's all I know. And I have 36 on with the 6th line. The 36 is looking at the 25. And so the chaos is what is in crisis, and chaos is in the 36. The 25 is the love of the spirit. And so for me, it's my Mars, part of my mutation. So I mutate myself when I'm able to be loving in my spirit and still love the spirit in the 25 while being in the 36. And so no matter what chaos or crisis is going on, I tap into also the love of the spirit of 25. And that's been my experience even before human design. And that's why I saw that when Ra talked about, and anybody else that I've listened to on the lines and the hexagrams, that the 6 is always already pretty much outside of the hexagram. It's on the roof, it's sitting there on the hexagram, it's learned all that stuff, and it's already looking at the next line. But in the I Ching, you know, some people who have studied the I Ching before coming into human design, the I Ching, the next gate would be different. And so I wanted to throw that out there because I understand that some people would be coming from more that, and they may want to incorporate both.
Okay, so I got my 2 lines here real quick, or my 2 cards here. I want to share this because I think that it's really cool. Okay, so with all of that being said, we have, first of all, gate 10 is the role gate. So it's like your role is the role model, okay? So if it's the line 6, you're the role model. And remember, it says the love of self is awakeness. Okay, so this is all about really being firm in your self-love. And then whenever we go to the 58, it's aliveness. And it's the first line is the love of life, which really flows together with behavior of self, being the role model. You have to be able to love life because that's what people are looking up to you for. You know?
Yep.
And so this one I'll read real quick. Stimulation is the key to joy, the zest for life, and the energy for a better life. Criticism is, the zest for life and the energy for a better life. That's stimulation. Criticism is the natural byproduct of this improvement energy. Okay. And so since this is also in your chart, in line 5 is defense, I could see that as being something like, you have to be on guard so that you make sure that you put number 1 first. You have to be really solid with your self-love. That's your pure expression. That's just the message coming through from me.
Okay, but it's a hanging gate now. I'm curious.
Thank you.
Is your center defined or undefined?
Sorry, was this question addressed to myself?
The 58. Where's that at?
Oh no, I'm asking about the 10. I'm sorry. The hanging gate 10, is that in a defined center or not?
Yes. Yeah, my G center is defined.
Okay.
Cool.
No, it's powerful for you to express that because, like, as of current, the boundaries that I'm upholding with my family, they're extreme, but I'm unable to shift them. So it's interesting for that to have come through, actually.
Cool.
Nice.
I'll have to see what evolves because there's a sense that something should change, but I'm not ready to shift anything yet.
Okay.
Stop, y'all.
So another thing about the 6th line, the line 6, it's like something, Denise, what happens, or like, doesn't that like go into effect after 50 or something like that? I'm vaguely remembering.
Oh, the Uranus opposition thing, that's it. Is that what you're asking about?
No, I thought it was just like the line.
Oh, the 6th line, we're talking about, okay, so 6th line profile, people who have a 6th line in their profile.
Oh, it's just profile?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I did find out not too long ago that all 6 lines don't blossom. Yeah, they don't always come full or not fully there until the Chiron return. It would be similar to that, and any excuse me, any 3rd line can transcend to that 6th line.
Yeah, because the 6th line is basically like the 3rd at the beginning, right?
Yes, yeah, thank you. That's what I was just gonna say. That's right, because so your 6 lines in your chart are gonna act more like 3rd lines until later, yes, until about the Chiron return. And I have heard Ra actually say that, and that was kind of cool. Like, that's good to know.
Yeah, because you can't be a role model unless you have a whole bunch of experiences from a trial and error type of theme. And this gate 10 thing right here, this is like the role expression of each line too. So it's like anytime you're line 6 in something, you're a role model at that, and it doesn't matter if it's in gate 10 or not, right?
That's true. Yes, you're right.
When you have the 3rd line, so when you have the 3rd line about anything, or in the beginning stages of your 6 lines, you're looking at a martyr type energy, like the sacred fool, the kind of like just doing it all without being attached to how it ends up, because that's how you gain your experiences that will turn you into this role model when you blossom. If you haven't already, I don't know.
No. Well, it's difficult because I suppose that's like in accordance with convention of society, isn't it? And not the context of the experiment, I guess. But no, look, I haven't really I've yet to live my phase of experimentation. I haven't lived much experimentation so far.
Well, that's good to acknowledge. I know, like, for me, I'm a third line. And like I expressed earlier and somewhat talked with Denise about, there was a lot of this trial and error stuff I didn't want anything to do with, you know, and so that was a lot of part of me that was like in denial and not really allowing the life that wants to happen because my mind got in the way, thinking, well, you know, when you try stuff, you fail, and I don't want to be a failure, so I'm not a failure. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there was a lot of avoidance going on because I didn't realize or recognize that that's part of how I become who I am, or who I'm here to be for others, is because I have to make those types of mistakes. And when I embraced it, it's like Jupiter came in and shared abundance with me, and like gave me the green light, or indicated that that's alignment, you know, like.
Okay, that's powerfully encouraging. Because I've sort of like over the past 6 years, I've endeavoured to shift a great deal of trauma, realign myself, and so yeah, like there is this like, sort of, you know, like trepidation of, oh, like the failure, and like how I'm going to be impacted if it's not, you know, if it's not conclusively pleasant for me, and it doesn't evolve into something else, like, especially something romantic, and so it's just, yeah, like navigating that and recognizing that the point of may not be for it too. It may be for, well, it's the experience, whatever, like, yeah, whatever the experience is, yeah. So it's just the allowance of that. Yeah, so I'm hopeful that.
What is your profile number?
I'm the 3-6.
I am
okay.
also.
I just wanted to verify what. Okay, thank you.
I'm 3-6 also.
Hi.
And so is my son. My son is who is staying with us. So, and because I'm a 3-5, and my parents were pretty cool, but they, you know, of course, wanted to get me out of the house sooner. Right, let my kid, you know, he stays here. He's been married and divorced, and now stays here because I have a real soft spot for the 3-6, especially. Well, it's so crazy. I don't even know why this was said, but I heard this was kind of more towards the beginning that it's luck if a 3-6 lives past the age or past their Saturn return. And when I heard that, I was like really blown away. So I was like, wow.
Wow.
You guys go through a lot because you carry that triple third line though for the first 30 years. And I know that at least one of you is already past 30, and the other, I'm not sure if you are or not, but I have actually been told by other 3-6s that they've definitely felt and knew the difference when they had their first Saturn return, and that it did help them to be a little more settled or stable.
Wow. No, there's such a like for me there's a poignancy that resonates, because just, you know, like a brief overview of my childhood, yeah, there was, if you like, persecution, if you like, but it was myself that was under the firing line of that, and I had a childhood struggle, so absolutely this is, and you know, I'm the only family member that's sort of endeavored to shift trauma and unburden myself so extensively, and I've been self-contained for the past so many years in order to do so, because I've had to honor the space required. I can't look at all those dynamics whilst I'm navigating this. It just isn't possible whilst no one else is in that awareness or moving into healing. It's just, yeah, there were no two ways, and so, and I'm at a point still where, like, my brothers can.
I'd love to see your chart.
I know.
I don't know if we could share it or not. But
Sorry.
That was cool. Well, if you could post it in the group afterwards, man, that'd be awesome. Underneath the post where that this Zoom is on, that would be really cool to be able to take a look at that, because, you know, I know that you guys are, you know, focusing a lot on the gate 10. Now that's my personality sun. I know the gate 10 very well.
Okay.
But my gate 10 is connected to everything, and yours is not. And yours is in Uranus, which when So the way I look at Uranus and the way it's looked at in a little bit more advanced human design is that it's what it's what can take you off track or help you to know being on track. So like it's called off track or sidetrack. It's called sidetrack. And I was thinking about it one day. I'm like, okay, so what's the opposite of sidetrack? Oh, if I'm on track. Okay, so my Uranus is in 57. And yeah, I am on track with who I am when I listen to my inner intuition. And because it's connected to everything as well. And so for you following your own behavior, okay, and the 10, and Uranus being, you know, different, of course, you know, it might be more eccentric. You might be more shocking to other people. People might not get you fully, and that's okay. You have to, the loving of yourself is what's most important. You loving yourself in your own quirky ways or however that looks for you. But know that with the hanging gate, a lot of times what's happening is it's trying to find the other side. And usually, like if you were split, and if that were your split, then that were your bridge, that's even, it can be a lot more challenging because then you're thinking, you know, I got to do this or that, whatever that is reaching out to. And the 10 reaching out to everything is like, oh my gosh, right?
That's a good point.
Okay. No, it's so poignant because yes, like I absolutely. I'm such like a stark person to my family, but sort of especially over this previous year, like I don't know, I have such an adoration for the work that I've done and where I am now coming into human design. Just yeah, and it's cool because I'm like, I guess like I'm an individual authority on all these lessons and all this integration and all this work, and I'm so proud of that. And so I feel like self-love resounding more and more each year, and
nice.
I'm so excited for everything, even though there's no correlation of understanding between like, you know, what I've integrated and what I can teach and where my family is. But yeah, it's cool because I that's something I feel that I can relate to those actually younger than myself, you know, with the 10th, and that just like remain the course, and you know, with your design, and you'll become this incredible authority, yeah, and this resource, and like it's so cool, and it's so worthwhile. It's just incredible.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so awesome. Do you have an open solar plexus or undefined solar plexus?
Yes, it is undefined.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I wanted to bring up, because I remember Denise, you said third lines are here to be able to enter into things that can end incorrectly or can go wrong. But it's like we have the third line has an advantage because it's gonna run into things that go wrong, but that's okay because it's our
right.
Like they end gracefully. They don't always end terribly because right. Okay. And that's just
because because most people, you know, when we first come into human design, you know, and we think, well, I entered this correctly, how come it all went kaput as a third line?
Yeah.
Well, that's part of being a third line, is that even in entering things correctly, they can still fall apart. But the thing is we enter into something incorrectly and that falls apart, it's way worse.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't sort of knowingly like navigated or filtered anything through my sacral response yet because I haven't been able to. But I have continued to observe like the context of when something falls apart, you know, and like the elements in place and like what happens to them and how they crumble and why they crumble. And I've tried to remain observant of all of that and integrating all of that, regardless of that I'm not connecting through my sacral just yet.
Right. So let me ask you, in that not being able to connect to your sacral just yet. So 2 questions.
Okay.
Does your sacral connect to your spleen, and or does your sacral connect to your throat? or both?
Both, actually.
That's why. Okay, tell me the line, how does it connect to the throat from the sacral? Is it through the 3420, or is it up through the G, or is it through the spleen up to the throat?
No, so it's from the so it's the throat, it's the 8 through the 1, and then through the 2 to the 14.
Oh, individual. Okay, right on. Yep. So, and then is the spleen, and you said that your sacral is connected to your spleen, right?
Oh, no, wait, no, absolutely not. No, like I was looking, I confused it with the root. No, it doesn't connect to the spleen.
Okay,
Just
so it does connect to the root?
No, my sacral doesn't connect to the root, actually.
Okay, I was just making sure. So your sacral is connected to your throat through your G, through that individual channel, both individual channels, 14 to 2, 8 to 1, correct?
Yeah.
Or 1 to 8, however it goes. Okay, yeah. So because it's connected to the throat, you're a manifesting generator. And what that means is that, and it sounds like you do have a defined spleen though, right? You said?
Yes, I do.
Connected to the root through the channel of struggle, right?
Yes, it's the channel of
I
struggle.
know that channel really well. And then of course you're split. So you have a small split between the two. Okay. So I know this one really well. Yeah, it is harder, you know, for two reasons, because, well, so with you having that from the sacral to the G to the throat, of course, you're going to take things a lot more personal. You probably already know this. But it's gonna, your response through your sacral is gonna be more like that, oh my God, yes. Yeah, you know, how you get excited about something, it's like, or you hear or see something and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, or hell yeah, or, you know, something more like that. It's a lot quicker, and it's usually going to be words and not sounds, but you can connect deeper. And for a manifesting generator, one of the easiest ways would be through singing. Whether you're chanting, doing vows, humming, anything like that, because what you'll notice, and this is what's really cool, is you'll notice your voice will change. You'll notice a resonance. So instead of it coming from like here in the nasally or here, or, you know, maybe here, it'll start deepening as you connect more with your diaphragm and allow that sounding like, okay, so in my group, for example, in the sacral sessions that I had posted, one of them that I posted, I also posted a YouTube video for connecting with the chakras, and it's all through sound. And I encourage everybody with the sacral center to listen to that video and practice the sounds, you know, sound along with it. If I were a really good singer, I would do it right here, right now for you, but I'm not that great. But I notice a difference. And yeah, because I started this before even I found out about human design, and it was a good thing because it really helped me. It does make a difference, and it is really cool. And then with you have the spleen to the root, without it being connected to there, so you have a small split, and that's all your definition, right? Just those three and then the two? You don't have head and ajna connected, right?
I do have head and ajna connected.
Okay, you do. Okay, so what channel are they connected by?
Is the channel of awareness.
I had a feeling you were going to tell me that too. And do you also have the connection between the throat and the ajna?
No.
Okay, so that's chopped off. Okay, so you're triple, or you're 1, 2, 3, you're triple split. And so my son is that, my youngest son, it is a little more challenging, or can be. And so like, if you notice, like when you're with another person, you're trying to talk to them and it's really hard to understand each other or to get anything resolved, just go to like a place where there's other people, so you're in their auras, and then you guys will be able to communicate a lot better. But so your head is split off, so your mind is probably sometimes psychosis, the mind won't shut the straight up, right? I mean,
It's intense.
I
I'm incredibly cerebral, and I can easily overindulge and just theorizing and like analysis, and yeah, it's just it's exhausting, and I sleep and my mind is on fire, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I've answered 5 questions, and then I wake and oh yes.
Yeah, keep a notebook, do mind dump, stuff like that. If you ever want to meditate or do any that kind of stuff, just know that if you've had a hard time if you have had a hard time but you've wanted to, what I suggest people who have defined mind and head is to lay down flat on your back and see if you're able to then, and you still may not be able to. There are certain things that just aren't going to work for you no matter what. So you have a very fixed mind, and it's constantly rationalizing. You're constantly questioning the mysteries and wanting to know the unknown and this and that. And if you are still doing that, just know that it's okay to not know, because you're never going to know.
Okay. Then it's not okay to not know. No.
It's okay to not know everything, but it's okay to allow that to just run in your head. You don't have to talk to it all the time. There's going to be times where you want to talk to it, I'm sure, because it's interesting. But when you allow space and time of you not talking to your mind, constantly rationalizing, and I'm pretty sure you probably got a left brain too, or a left mind, or both. But I'll look at your arrows whenever you post your chart. So your mind's going to constantly run. You're not going to be able to shut that off no matter what. But you can stop and allow times where you're not talking to it and conversing with it. And what that will do is that'll help to relax it a little more the more you practice that. And then at some point, more divine inspiration will also come in. And that's that's the only place it's going to come in through, because that's the area that you were defined in. So you do have your own internal knowing already. You have your own internal clarity. I see my son, who has the same channel with it split, just like what you're talking about. And it's incredible. He's a manifester, he's an emotional manifester. And it's just incredible to watch how this channel works. And it's like sometimes, even though he's emotional and, they have to sleep on things anyway, sometimes he's working on something, that mental work, and trying to figure something out, and it's just not coming. And it's just not coming. And it's just not coming. And he just has to wait. He goes to bed and waits till the next morning, and then it comes to him. And you may find that works with you as well,
It has occurred twice that my ajna has presented a solution or an answer in the morning, but it's concerning if it's a problem, where I'm psychologically and emotionally distant and it's in like the regions of my subconscious, then it works. So I have to create more detachment between myself and what I'm processing, and I'm realizing that, because otherwise I'm like constantly too close, and it won't like sort of fall into the ethers of the ajna to present itself, because I'm too close to it. So I have to push some distance or try to detach from what I'm processing. It's very hard. Right. It's very, very hard.
That would be. And then also being in others' auras too, whenever you're, when it's work-based or anything like that, something that you do have to come up with, you can always go and sit in wherever it is that you're able to go sit among other people, but be able to have your privacy if you want. And then that also will help to connect that, because then it's going to connect your small splits. Now, the other thing you could do if you wanted, and I encourage this with people, especially those that work at home, is to grow plants.
I do have 2 plants.
Oh, you do? And so okay, so then let me ask you this. Do you already feel like you can do that at home without needing to be out amongst other people?
It is like, it's starting to increase slightly. It's because
then it's probably because they connect those. It could be because they connect those. I have one gal that was that way. She's a triple split, and she works from home. And I told her what she could do, and she goes, actually, I'm not having the issues that other triple splits are having. And now that makes sense why, because of the plants that I already have here where she works in her office. Yeah, it was a pretty good, cool aha to see. And
it's because I was so obviously like source has knocked everything that was like through this pandemic. And so what, you know, that there was like some mega creative practice that I finally had established, and it was only 2 weeks old, and now I don't have that. And so my mind has been overturning itself. And so yeah, and I'm not able to come into a body sense because my mind is overturning. So I'd taken a walk earlier just to return some space and just like some joyousness. I find that once I sort of reactivate some joyousness and that's circulating, it immediately brings space, and then I might laugh for a few hours and play, and then I can come back to. So that's what I'm attempting to do at the moment. Yeah.
That's cool.
I hope I can send the sense of plants again. Also, we've spoken on Facebook. I wasn't certain if you were aware earlier. I'm Danya.
What's that? I'm still on the thing. What's going on?
I'm Danya.
Oh no, I didn't hear the first thing that you were saying.
Denise, I think she was saying she spoke with you before. I think her name is Danya, but it's Danya in the group, if I'm gathering correct.
Yes, yeah, you're correct. Yeah, look, I nicknamed myself Dan. Yeah.
Okay, and I have a hard time hearing. Anyway, this is Danya. Dania.
Yeah, hi.
I thought it was pronounced Dania. Oh my gosh.
No worries.
I love over in the other country, the one that goes and sings and has fun at the club. Yeah.
yeah. Like, well, when you said earlier, like I'm a vocalist.
I
so
have
when you
your chart. Oh, that's so funny. I love it. Yo, that was so cool.
It's awesome. Like this has been so cool. It's so fun. I'm so so overcome with like, how fun, funny, and just like educational this has been. But it's wonderful to connect. It's so like it's always such a damn good experience when like the connection is happening. I'm so excited. So just like can't say myself.
Yeah, I like this. Cool. I think we should do this more, Denise, for real.
Yeah, I agree, and I've been getting more and more requests too. But how many people are left on here? Because I'm thinking about clocking out.
Yeah, we're almost an hour over.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and shut this up. And if there are any other lingering questions, if you want to post your charts underneath the Zoom meeting, and you know, do some more talking or whatever. It won't be today for me, but with Brandy if she's available or whatever. But yeah, let's go ahead and close this. And any other lingering stuff, go ahead and post in the group for sure.
Okay, yeah, real quick, Mary, I would like to, I don't know if you have your chart posted in the group, but if you do, or if you don't, can you put it on the Zoom link so I can look at it?
Sure, I will, Brandy.
Cool.
Could I say something real quick to Dan just before we go?
Certainly, hello.
Hi. What if this is just a solution, but earlier Brandy had some oracle cards, and I was wondering, what if you gave your mind some oracle card pulls to sort of mull over and let your mind work on that?
It's possible. I do have a tarot card set.
Oh, see, I have tarot cards, and I've been journaling for a year with them. And it's not necessarily if they're right or if they're wrong, but if how do I see it based on what this card is telling me? And that's been kind of a little bit of a break. Instead of focusing something internally, it's sort of like, what am I thinking based on what these cards say? And
cool.
I don't know. I just think that's been a really good way to occupy my mind some days.
That's cool.
And sometimes you find that maybe like there is some synchronistic, relevance to your life.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. I can PM you too, or DM you or whatever, because or just post it under the Zoom link. But yeah, it's been something that's been helpful, and I was hesitant to do it for a long time. But yeah.
I'm open. I do. It's because so that there have been instances wherein like there's correlation between what the tarot is signaling and then like what has occurred in actuality, and so parts of myself become fixated that why has this not occurred in actuality? Like, why is there no correlation with this pull? And so it's stepping away from that, and that yeah, and that what the tarot is showing might not necessarily occur in actuality, or it may do in 2 months, and not becoming invested in experiencing that, like, you know, in actuality, like right away.
That's interesting. I noticed that it depends on the way I'm asking questions and the mindset I'm in, and I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just helps me see something in a way that maybe I wasn't manufacturing on my own.
Yeah, through the symbolism for sure, because the
Yeah.
symbolism can activate things within for sure. But ladies, we do need to go
I know.
We can go on forever.
Put this in the group. Put this in the group. Come on.
Yeah.
Bless you all. Thank you.
We're here to
Incredibly.
all help each other. Yep.
Okay.
And
Thank
you
you
guys
so
enjoy
much.
your day. And
And
thank you very
Brandy.
much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've all been awesome. Thank you so very much. Thank
This
you.
was so nice. Thanks
Take
for
the very best care.
All right, we'll see you guys later. I'm signing
I
off.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
So much love.
Bye. Thank you.